Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today I have a piece of cherry. It's kind of a Y shape, and I'm just going to make a small bowl out of it. I'm going to put a tenon on this side, and we'll hollow out the top side. I have trimmed up the branches. There was some checking and whatnot in there, some cracking. This branch still has a little bit on it. And it's going to be a live edge of some kind or another, at least on the top side, or if not on the top side, then right through here. Right through here. I think this bark's going to stay with it. But I'm going to upswing these wings a little bit and downswing the wings from the top side. And we'll just see how that goes. A little out of balance, so I can only get about 700 RPM. It's about 7.5 inches at the maximum width, and about 3.5 to 4 inches deep, depending on where you measure. I don't know what we're going to end up with. We're going to lose a lot of it, but that's okay. So it looks like a fun piece to me. Stand by for turning. 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge, 700 RPM, mask and face shield on. Just marking out for the tenon. Needs to be just slightly smaller than that circle. I'm going to cut these off and maybe glue them down before I lose them, and the same over here. So I'll get a knife and do that. So this is going to be my base for it to sit on, here and here and here, these 3 spots. And I'm going to bring this in up to the tenon, and then I will finalize that tenon, get a good size and shape, and then we'll go back to working on the wings. I'm just going to use this diamond point tool to make sure I have straight sides on my tenon. Okay, that's good. So now let's go back to our profile over here. And now I will come in from this side to try and preserve that bark, although that's the way you normally do it on a bowl. Yeah, I guess that'll work. I don't feel like that's preserving the bark. Well, it is here and it's not here. I guess that's just the way it is when you're doing something like this. I'm going to go back to this way, and I'll just have to glue these edges down. No, I think I need to go much more than that. It's kind of rounded, but it's more straight. I guess I kind of thought I wanted to round it more like the outside of a bowl, but I don't know if I do or not. It's another one of those conundrums. Yeah, I'm gonna go more. I'm gonna try and get it more round. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. You have to draw the line somewhere. I don't want to keep going until the whole dang thing is round. I was just talking to a viewer about that today, turning live edge pieces, and sometimes you have to know where to stop, that's for sure, or you end up with a piece that's not live edge anymore. So I'm going to get my knife and cut these all off, just right along that edge. So I'll do that, and I'll glue all these edges down. Then, you know what, I guess it's about time for sanding. Holy smokes, that was quick. Okay, I've cleaned up all my mess, which is what I typically do before I start sanding. And I trimmed up the edges of the bark and glued it down as best I could. I can't say it's perfect, but it's not bad. I'm starting with 80 grit on my 2-inch sanding disc on my angle drill. And I'll probably start in reverse at about 371 RPM. So as soon as I get a mask on here, I'll get to it. Well, the sanding is done, and I've decided not to apply sanding sealer or any finish before I turn this around, and I may be sorry about that, and I may not, but I'm doing it for a couple of reasons. One is it's real small, and it'll be easy to put finish on both sides at the same time. The other is I can't get my Sandoflex sander in here to do a good job of sanding the bark while it's pointed in this direction. So I'll just sand the bark after I've done the turning, and that'll be a lot easier once it's turned around. Now I'm just tightening that slightly, and then as always I like to bring up the tailstock and press the piece into the chuck so there's no doubt that it's well centered and well seated, and then tighten the jaws. So I'm going to get my mask and face shield on here, sharpen up my bowl gouge, probably the 1/2-inch standard grind that I was using on the bottom, and we'll start cleaning this out. Stand by. We're going to be turning at 760 RPM, 1/2-inch standard grind bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. I need to kind of sneak up on my diameter here because I don't want to run off the edge. These are all fairly equally spaced. We'll just keep going, just sneaking up on it, see how it looks as we go. Stop often. Well, I'm just about to this edge right here. So if I keep coming out here higher, pretty soon I'm gonna have no bowl here. It's just, you know, it's just a matter of preference. It's just a matter of design. I'm not very good at design. I like all the bark on there, I guess. But would it look better with the bark gone here and here and just remaining here? Hard to know, isn't it? Once you find out, you might find out, gee, that was the wrong thing to do. Well, one thing I am going to do is readjust so I can get a little more tool support. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to leave it about like that. Just go deeper. A little straighter wall maybe. Now I could come out here further without coming all the way, which would make this kind of three-winged bowl appearance be more defined, more prevalent. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. So I'm going to be coming about here now. Going to be kind of a bumpy ride. I'm going to sharpen up. I'm going to take just a minute to cut off some of these little frayed bark fragments here. Just because I don't want them to run on me. It's part of the reason I sharpened up. I thought maybe I can get a cleaner cut. But it's just it's so bouncy with the three different heights of these wings. It's hard to get a clean cut anyway. Okay, got a nice fresh sharp edge here. I should be able to do as good as I can do. Should I come a little further? Just leave a thin edge of bark here. Maybe a little further. Well, that's probably far enough. This one's getting pretty thin, and I just don't want to waste it away. I like the bark on all points. It's going to leave some fairly thick walls, but that's okay. Sometimes you just have to put up with that to get this, and I think this is what makes it unique. So we're just getting there. I still have a pretty thick bottom, still pretty thick in the corners here, so I'll work on that. A bit premature perhaps, but you just cannot be too careful. Yeah, see, it's about 3/8 of an inch. I would have guessed half, so it doesn't hurt to be careful. And I am about a 1/2 inch here in the corner. So 3/8 on the bottom. I can go down about another 1/8, and over here I can come down about 1/4. Alright, I think we're going to call that good. I am going to do a little scraping. Normally you don't want to be scraping these wings out here, but I've got enough meat in order to protect my bark. They're fairly thick wings, so I don't think they're vibrating too badly. Still seems like a bad idea though, doesn't it? That turned out okay. A little bit of torn grain right here and a little more here. This one's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to trim up this bark like I did, and then I'm going to clean up my area, and we'll get to sanding. Who doesn't love sanding? I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to start my sanding with my Sandoflex, and I'm going to be sanding the bark, and I'll do it stationary rather than spinning. And what that does is it cleans the bark and it smooths it out. Of course, I'm not done yet, but it'll smooth it out so that you can run your finger over it, still feel the texture, and it'll still look like bark, but it'll just be nicely finished. So I'll do that first, and then I'll switch over to my 2-inch sanding discs and sand the inside just like I sanded the outside. When I'm going forward, I'll be over here working like this, and when I'm going backwards, I'll be over here working like this. And I'll bring you back when it's finally time to put finish or sanding sealer on both sides of this, including the bark. See you in a bit. I just love how when you put this sanding sealer on the bark, it just makes everything else look great. I've already applied it to the underside of the bowl, so I'm just finishing up here. And folks ask me all the time what sanding sealer I use. This is Zinsser Seal Coat. It's a shellac based sanding sealer. So I'll put on 2 coats of this using steel wool in between coats, and then probably 2 coats of shellac over that. Again, steel wool in between. And I will bring you back when it's time to turn this around and remove the tenon. We're almost done, boys and girls. It occurred to me that I never show the process I use. This is 4/0 steel wool, and I found that 400 or 500 RPM just does not cut it. I've got to turn this up to around 700 or 800 RPM before it'll really smooth out the sanding sealer and the shellac when I put that on. Right now this is just the first coat of sanding sealer. And I'm going to put my mask on. I've got a fan blowing behind me to blow this away because I don't want it in my lungs. And I've got another fan here that I'm turning on to blow it away. I do not have any dust collection at the lathe, so I'll just show you what I do here. And you have to keep in mind, you know, when you've got 3 wings like this, it's bouncy. So what I like to do is double this up so that it doesn't hurt so much. And this will be spinning, and I'll just work it back and forth like that, inside and out. It's about 900 RPM. Just applying light pressure here, but it's tearing this up real quick. That was a brand new pad. It's worth it to me not to have to do it by hand. And when a piece landed on my shirt. It doesn't hurt as long as you know, just do it lightly out here at the edges. It just kind of bounces off that pad. And then I'll also do it the other direction in reverse. I just barely have it grabbed here. You don't want to be getting your thumb in there. Don't let it hit there. Be sure it's hitting out here where it's padded. And that just does a real nice job. It's very smooth. I don't worry about the bark. I don't try and do anything with the bark. I'll put another coat on there, but I don't smooth out the bark at all. After I've sanded it and put on the sanding sealer, I'm done with it. So now I'll take my shop vac and vacuum this all up and vacuum the whole area because it's covered with steel wool dust and pieces, and on my shirt still. And then I'll put on another coat, do the same thing, about a half hour in between coats. And then the shellac, same deal. So again, I'll see you in a bit. Alrighty then, time to get this turned around and remove that tenon. Then I'll just put this non-slip cloth on it and put the bowl on that. And that'll be our friction drive. Bring up the tailstock. I still have my center hole. And I'll just grab a 1/4 inch bowl gouge, standard grind. We'll turn about 500 RPM and we'll just remove that tenon. Just checking for clearance. I like to leave this little raised area here when I can, just as a point of interest. Smooth it out a little bit, but I want to try and leave some. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Checking for clearance once more. And we're good. I'm going to readjust the tool rest to get a little closer here. And we'll just slow the speed down around 200 or so. And we'll just come in here and cut this off. Now at this point I'm just going to apply pressure from the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Use my right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, and when that little nub stops turning, you know we're through. Just like that. So now I just have this little bit here to sand up, and I'll do that over here on the workbench. Well, here we have it. It's done. It is a what? A cherry bowl, a cherry winged bowl, a cherry live edge bowl. I don't know. Something. Bottom finished up nicely. Bark looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know what you do with it. It's about 7.5 inches across, 3¼ inches high. Just a little decorative piece. An art piece, how's that? We'll call it an art piece. In any event, it's done. It's got a nice little rim to sit on here, at least in 3 places, here, here, and here. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. Your comments are always welcome. I respond to all of them. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.